How dogs came to live with the Indians. We often hear the saying that the dog is man's best friend, but before the dog came to live with humans, it belonged to the dog family, and there among the wolves, the dogs had to do all the errands. One cold day, the wolves ordered the dogs to go to man's wigwam to get fire. This was the only place the wolves knew that they could get fire, but it was very dangerous for any wolf to go there. The wolves had often gone to Indian villages to get fire, but they would always drop the coals, and the humans would get the fire back. But as they carried a burning stick, it would burn brighter, and they would have to drop it, or otherwise be singed by the flames. The dog knew all this, and decided that it would be a very difficult job to get fire from humans. So the dog decided that he would just pretend to try to steal fire from humans, but not really go through with it. But the dog knew that if he failed his mission to get the fire, life with the wolves would be unbearable, and instead, he decided he would just leave the wolves and go with the humans. The dog left the wolves' country and went through the forest to the Indian village. He saw smoke coming out of the smoke holes of the wigwam and went towards one of the houses. He stood in the doorway and looked inside and realized that the hunters were not home. Only the women and children were there. The people had always feared wolves, so the dog decided that it would be good to show that he himself was afraid of the humans. He lowered his tail and his head and looked up to the people with his eyes wide to show that he was afraid of them, and crept over to the fire and laid down. The dog was lucky because the man who lived in the wigwam had often dreamed of wolves, and had, in fact, dreamed that he would receive a gift from the wolves. In his hunting, he had also appealed to the wolf spirit and had assisted by it to feed his family. When he returned to the wigwam and saw the harmless wolf dog lying there by his fire, he decided to make friends with him. Remembering his dream, the Indian man told the dog they would be brothers forever, and to prove this, he would take the dog as his companion when he went hunting for his family, and shared the meat that they got together. The Master of Night. There is a little man who is 3 or 4 feet tall, who looks like a human being but is invisible. He may be a spirit, or he may serve a spirit, but in any cases, he does only one kind of work. He is the Master of Night, and is the one who brings sleep to human beings. When dusk comes, he goes to work. His magic works well on some, and they cannot help but fall asleep. He stares at the person, and they cannot help but fall asleep. For those who are already in bed, he knocks him on the head with something soft like a pillow. He visits babies first, and then children, and then on up to the old people. It is said those who are struck by the Master of Night live to a very old age. How women were given menstruation. Manabush was jealous of the attention the bear showed Nokomis, his grandmother. One day, when he returned, he noticed his grandmother had combed her hair and put on clean clothes. He suspected that someone had been there, but she made no reply, which satisfied him. He went into the woods on the following day, and again, when he returned, grandmother had combed her hair and put on clean clothes. This went on for several days. Manabush suspected that it was the bear who was visiting his grandmother, so he waited near the wigwam very quietly. Soon he heard the bear coming along the trail, snorting and grunting. He made straight for the wigwam and entered it. Manabush was furious. He got a piece of dry birch wood and lit it. With the torch in his hand, he crept up to the door of the wigwam, pulled the cover aside, and saw the bear of his grandmother. He threw the torch at the bear and struck him on the back, just above the groin. Frantic with pain, the bear rushed out of the woods. Frantic with pain, the bear rushed out into the woods and down the hill to the stream, but the fire kept burning him, and finally he dropped dead. When Manabush came up to the dead body, he carried the carcass back to his grandmother's wigwam and said, "Here, grandmother, I killed a bear now. Here, grandmother, I have killed a bear. Now we have something to eat." His grandmother asked him how he killed the bear, but he mumbled something, not wanting her to know how the bear was killed. Then Manabush cut up the bear and offered a piece to his grandmother, but she refused, saying, "No, my grandson, I cannot eat this. He was my husband." Angry, Manabush caught up a clot of the bear's blood and threw it at Nokomos, hitting her in the abdomen. She replied, "For that act, your aunts will have trouble every moon, and that is why the Indian women menstruate every month." The moon. Once the moon and his sister. Once the sun and his sister, the moon, lived together in a wigwam in the east. The sun dressed himself to go hunting and took his bow and arrow and left. He was absent such a long time that when his sister came out into the sky to look for her brother, she became alarmed. She traveled 20 days looking for the sun. Finally, he returned, bringing with him a bear which he had shot. The sun's sister will come up into the sky and travel 20 days. Then she dies. In 4 days, nothing is seen of her. At the end of that time, however, she returns to life and travels 20 days more.